Greetings, MPI family. This is Ryan Mack, your financial consultant, here to talk about saving strategies. A few of you had questions about the importance of budgeting and want to get the basics of budgeting. Today, we're going to talk about the basics of budgeting and savings. Now, before we get started, I just want to remind you, one, make sure you have a pencil and pen available, that you're able to take a lot of notes. The more notes you take, the more you're able to write these things down in your brain to actually get these concepts embedded. Two, always remember, just because you're taking this class does not mean you shouldn't take a one-on-one session with me. You want to make sure you schedule a Friday office hours appointment. And for many of you, you'll know that if Friday doesn't work for you, we can work out another time so you can sit down and actually put together your budgeting process. The ultimate goal is not just to go over these principles, but to implement these principles. So if you are an MPI client, or your MPI staff member, you can set up office hours, because I really want to make sure that you can set up your actual budget and get this into practice. That's the ultimate goal, all right? So with that said, let's get going and share the saving strategy session, shall we? Let's talk about saving strategies. Talking about budgeting purposes, the budget is the core of your entire financial foundation. How fast you're going to get to retire, how fast you're going to reach your goals of owning your home, starting your business. The budget is going to dictate exactly how fast you're going to be able to get there. So if you want to move faster towards your goals, look at your budget and figure out where you can cut to get to your goals faster. Or you can look at your budget and see where you might be able to make more money. It's only three things at the end of the day: earn more, save more, or do both. And this particular piece will be focused mostly on the saving side. But again, as you're out there working every single day, earning a salary, earning an income, it's important that you understand that earn more, save more, do both. All these things are important, whether in terms of your overall savings strategy. Let's get into it. Again, ground rules of discussion say that I want you to make sure you have your pen and paper out. You're taking a lot of notes. I'm going to make sure that as we go through this conversation, I'll be pointing out various particular assignments that I would like for you to do after you're done watching this video to really, again, integrate these principles into your daily lifestyle. And again, also remember, after you're done with this video, I should be getting an email to say, hey, Ryan, I'm ready to put together my very own budget. Let's jump into it. We're going to talk about the three uses of money. We're going to talk about what it means to pay yourself first. We're going to talk about how to define interest. We're going to talk about explaining the various uses of a savings account. We're going to illustrate budgeting methods and the importance of budgeting. We're going to highlight sales strategies that can break your budget. We'll explain excessive consumption and its disadvantages. We're also going to highlight financial predators and how to avoid them. These financial predators, they're always trying to find ways to get into your pocketbook. We want to make sure we can navigate around those obstacles effectively. Only three uses of money. This is the thing about financial education, folks. We oftentimes try to make financial education way too challenging. We try to make it way too difficult. And it's not rocket science what we're talking about here, okay? Financial education, at the end of the day, it's only three things we can do with it. We can give our money away, we can spend it, or we can use it to build. Giving our money away to friends, family, and charity, that's my favorite thing to do. Giving money away is my absolute favorite thing to do. And it might be yours as well. You might be a very giving person. I know a lot of individuals, they're very giving, they're very kind, and they are always seen as individuals who like to help and give support to their family members. And that's fine. That's okay to do. I would never begrudge you from being giving. However, the most important thing to do is building, because the more you can use your finances to build and create more money for yourself, you have to keep your own goals into account. Many times we like to do what I call pre-growth giving. Pre-growth giving. You got pre-growth giving and post-growth giving. Pre-growth giving is that giving that you give before you give your money a chance to grow and appreciate. Post-growth giving is that money that you can give after you've grown your money, after you've saved it, after you've taken into account all of your goals, and you've allocated proportionally what you like to do with your funds. Post-growth giving means you're not taking away from your own foundation, from your own retirement, your own house, your own business you like to start, or any other goals, your vacations that you like to do, your college expenses for your children. That's post-growth giving. You're giving after you've given your chance to build, which is why, again, giving is my favorite thing to do, but building is the most important thing to do. And then you've got spending. 70% of GDP is consumer spending. We're spending on money on things that we don't need to impress people we don't like at the end of the day. So we have to understand that the more we build, the more we can give and spend. But giving is the most important, even though no, saving is the most important, even though giving is my favorite. All right, keeping that to account. There's only three things you can do with money: give, spend, build. We're going to focus on building. That's what our entire class is about. The entire program is about. How do we effectively put more of your resources into giving? Many reasons that people like to spend money, and they spend money too much. And I'll tell you, I wrote these down according to some of my own reasons. Humble upbringing. When I myself was growing up, I didn't have a lot of money growing up. You know, as a matter of fact, let me go back to this slide here. This is an assignment I want you to think about. Every single time from now for the rest of your life, every time you give money or you spend money, I want you to have this slide in your back of your head. I want you to think about every time you give away money or spend money, can I or should I be using this money to build? Because if you're giving money away that you could have used to build, remember, on the other side of growth, you can actually give more and you're not taking away from your retirement. So that's a question I want you to write down. Can I be using this money to build? That's a very important question that from now for the rest of your life, anytime you do giving it or spending it, what else can you be doing with that money? Write that question down. Can I use this money to build? That should be written down somewhere on your phone in a very prominent place. That question, a reminder, you should always be seeking to build with your capital. So why do we spend so much money? This is another question I want you to write down of yourself. The question is, who am I? Who am I? You know, a lot of times we don't have a lot of introspective on ourselves because how we were brought up and how we were raised and reared causes us to have of habits that many times we don't analyze properly. Like, I'll do this one, humble upbringing. I know that my mother didn't have a lot of money, raising two children, didn't have a lot of money. And we were always very humble. And I remember she would spend maybe $5 for all of our Christmas gifts, if that. And we didn't want that much. And I know because of that, I've never really had a lot of affinity for a lot of material type things. So if I'm analyzing myself, and especially when I got my first job on Wall Street, I'll be honest with you, because of that humble upbringing, and one, I didn't have a big desire I've never had a desire for material things, but I've always liked to have, I had a strong desire for experiences, going out. And to be honest with you, I probably did a little bit too much partying when I was 21, 22, young kid on Wall Street and making a decent amount of money. Because of that humble upbringing, I was able to go out and not have to really worry a lot about money. So I probably spent, I absolutely spent way too much money because of that humble upbringing in terms of being flashy and going out and, you know, but that's one thing I've had to learn not to do. We cannot, we're going to talk about this. We can't kick ourselves for those habits that we once had that we can't go back in time. You know, we can only change who we are right now moving forward. And I don't care where you are in your life, it's better late than later when you start these fiscal habits. So it doesn't matter. I don't care. I did some stupid stuff. Did a lot of stupid stuff when I was on Wall Street. Spent a whole lot of money I shouldn't have, but I can't change that. I've learned from it, and I've had to do what you need to do. Introspective, understanding who you are. Who am I? Write that question down and really take some time to figure it out. A lot of times individuals will spend tomorrow's money today, spending tomorrow's money, that knowing that, well, I'm going to earn it back and I'm going to get this, I'm going to get that. Or the big shot mentality. Individuals might say, I want to be a big shot and I've never had the opportunity to be a big shot. So I want to, have this appearance of being a big shot. And sometimes we're fooling ourselves. What's your personality type? What's the reason that you might be spending too much money? Then there are those reasons that people have, like plastic is not the same as paper. Did you know that the reason that they have plastic when they give away chips at casinos, or it's because spending chips is not the same as spending money. It doesn't feel the same. Or using your phone. This cell phone here, very dangerous thing. When you plug up the stuff on Amazon and you order items on Amazon and just push that button and the item comes to your door right away, it doesn't feel like you're spending any money. But best believe you are spending money. Or plastic is not the same as paper. They know that the studies, individuals spend as much as 35% more when they use plastic as opposed to paper. So let's try to understand that every single time that where you're spending money and why you're spending it. Instant gratification. People want to be gratified right now. Delayed gratification is a skill that we all can benefit to learn from. Keeping up with the Joneses. I want you to write this down. Stay in your own lane. Or another fancy way of saying it, act your own wage. Act your own. You've heard of acting your own age or act your age. Act your wage. That's a very important thing to understand. Your financial battle is yours and yours alone. You need to focus on your battle, your struggle, and your principles and your habits that you're developing for yourself. What other people are doing, everybody's financial picture is going to be different. So you need to make sure you act your own wage. Write that down. A lot of times people spend too much money because they feel insecure. And and spending money helps them feel better about themselves. And then sometimes, and a lot of times I've seen, and I've done a lot of budgets for individuals at MPI, their expenses are greater than their income. We're deficit spending. I've done the biggest thing when we sit down and we do our budget, I want to make sure that we can no longer deficit spending if that's happening to you. All right. So here's a chart I really want you to pay attention to, because this is going to be important for you to calculate how much of your overall expenses is coming from housing. How much of your overall expenses is coming from your total debt? How much of your overall expenses are you contributing towards saving? How much of your overall expenses are you contributing towards your living expenses? All right. When we do your budget, these numbers are going to come very easy. And that's why we want to make sure that, again, we calculate these numbers. And again, I don't want you to beat yourself up if you're off the targeted percentage. These are just rough gauges. The overall goal is that third line down, that savings piece, making sure you're have enough that you're able to put into savings and planning towards your overall goals. And there's some things that I'm going to be sending you as well if I haven't sent them already. Sending you things like a debt template, sending you things that we can organize all your debt, sending things like a financial goals sheet where you can write down your financial goals, sending you a budget template that you can fill out your budget on your own so we can turn around and go over that later, sending you things like a 30-day spending diary that I've had many individuals in MPI go through the process of that 30-day spending diary so they can actually calculate how much they're spending every single day. These are just some of the documents that we have that when you email me, we can reach out and make sure that we can send to you so you can get your budgeting process on the road. So pay attention to this slide, get your budget together, and let's see if we can calculate your target, what percent of targeted income goes towards these various line items. Very important to be able to calculate these things so we can really get a grasp of where exactly your money is going. And again, another question I want you to write down. What is my why? Yes, who am I? That's like a personality reason. Now, what's my why? My mother, her why was her 2 children. What's your why? What's the reason that motivates you for wanting to save? What's the thing that is causing you to say, I want to put together a budget for what? What's the reason? Is it because of a new home? You want to plan for retirement? Your lifestyle desires, your college tuition, expanding your family, like my mother, her 2 children, whatever. What's the reason? When you figure out the reason, your why, this is going to give you the motivational factor to drive every single day and continue on that path. I'll tell you, if you don't figure out your why, I've seen many financial plans and strategies go by the wayside. Because what happens is that you start saving and you forget why you're saving, then all of a sudden that brand new jacket that's on sale is so important. Or that unexpected trip that you want to go on that you hadn't planned on, or you know what, I want to go because it's fun. I've got a couple extra bucks. Let's go there. And all of a sudden, these short-term things, lifestyle, short-term instant gratification type desires are heavier weighted. And it becomes so important that you start to forget the long-term things that you should have been planning, like we saw on this slide. But if you remember, you know what, I want to go on that vacation, but I've got retirement. I know that they want to go out to lunch every day. It's a big expense. We're going to talk about that. A lot of people going out to eat every day, but I need to save a little bit of money. And for my new home, I'm saving up for a new home, and I'm off my budget. When we sit down and put together a budget, we're going to go over those various items to see exactly how much you need to be saving every single month. Now, money heaven. I want you to write that term down. Money heaven. Money heaven is the thing and the place where you spend money that essentially, once it goes there, you never see it again. So money heaven is 4 items: living expenses, debt, irresponsible giving, and taxes. Your sole job when you're calculating your budget and calculating your expenditures is to minimize those 4 items: living expenses, debt, irresponsible giving, and taxes. You want to decrease your overall bad spending so you can increase your savings. And once you can minimize money heaven, living expenses, debt, irresponsible giving, and taxes, I want you to write those 4 things down. Because again, every item is things you can minimize. Living expenses is your budget. Your debt is your debt template. Got to get that paid off. I want to send that to you so we can get to work on that as fast as possible. Irresponsible giving. Someone comes up to you and says, hey, let me borrow some money. Again, I'm not trying to say be selfish. I am trying to say be smart and be prudent with how you go about giving, that you're not doing pre-growth giving. Remember, pre-growth giving, post-growth giving. Pre-growth meaning before you give. I'm giving this person money before I've had a chance to grow it and to build towards my goals, achieve my goals, and then I can give to this person on the other side of that growth, post-growth giving, that doesn't compromise my goals, doesn't compromise my why. You can give. You don't want to compromise this why, this slide right here. So when we give, there's a poem I wrote that says, I would rather help you than self, but I cannot help you unless I help self. So I can better help you, I'm going to help self. It's the same adage when they say put the gas mask on yourself on the plane before you put it on the baby. You need to put the gas mask on yourself first. Because if you put the gas mask on the baby first, you might mess around and suffocate, and the one provider for the baby gets knocked out, or even worse than that. So we need to be cautious about how we give. When you put the gas mask on someone else first, you're putting yourself in jeopardy. And that's what happens when you do irresponsible giving. What causes are important to you that you'd like to support financially? You should write these causes down and organize in your budget how you can go about responsibly giving to these various causes, whether it be family, your church, nonprofits, whatever those causes are. I want you to be able to give. Again, my favorite thing is to give. But the most important thing is to build. The more building, the more giving. So again, don't do that pre-growth giving when you're taking away and you're putting a gas mask on the baby first, putting yourself and the baby in jeopardy. So what does it mean to pay yourself first? Putting money in savings before you pay your bills. You need to have a U bill. And for those that work with me, they know the first letter of your name. For instance, my name is Ryan. I have an R bill, That R bill is something I try to pay first every single month. And that bill is more important than any other bill because that bill is going to my own retirement. Okay. Putting money into savings before you pay your bills. So do you have a U bill? Is it really more important to pay your cable bill than it is for you to put money into your own savings? I would hope not. What are your financial goals? We want you to write out your financial goals and list them and how much you need to achieve them. Your budget's going to tell you how fast it's going to take you to achieve your financial goals. And we have a financial goal sheet we'd like to send to you. And then interest. There's a couple of terms I want to throw at you that are very important. Interest is the amount of money financial institutions pay you for keeping money on deposit with them. Now, it's expressed as a percentage, calculated based upon the money in your account. Now, I want you, this equation here is one of the most critical equations of financial education. Interest in versus interest out. If you can master this equation, write it down. If you can master this equation, interest in versus interest out, you want to maximize interest in your savings, minimize interest out your debt. Okay? Maximize your savings, minimize your debt. Debt is essentially paying for someone else's retirement. Savings is paying for yours. Debt is someone else's retirement because someone has sold you something. It would be a car, a student loan, a home, and that interest is going towards somebody else's pocketbook, but it's certainly not going to yours. That could be going towards a government pocketbook if it's federal loan. It could be going towards a banker's pocketbook if it's a corporate, if it's an institution. It could be going towards a car salesman's pocketbook if it's an auto loan. But you're paying for someone else's retirement, someone else's school costs for their children. I want you to pay for yours. Maximize interest in, minimize interest out. Maximize your savings, minimize your debt. Ooh, compound interest. I want you to write this word down because this is one of the most critical components of financial education. Compound money interest is the earning money on previously paid interest. If you look at compound interest versus simple interest, which is simple interest essentially is interest paid only on the principal. So if you put $10,000 and over 40 years, 5% of 10,000 every single month, it grows, but it doesn't compound. It only grows 5% on that 10,000 and they add it to the amount. That's $30,000. But if you have compound interest, 5% on 10,000, meaning after the first year is 10,500, and then 5% of 10,500. It's not 5% of 10,000 like simple interest. It's 5% of 10,500. So it grows faster. This right here, I cannot emphasize enough how important this equation is, compound interest, because the faster you can get your pool of monies pulled together and saved, the faster your money is going to grow. And so the longer you wait, the longer you're missing out of this compound interest, okay? It can be compounded daily, monthly, or annually, and you should definitely check out whenever any sort of savings mechanism that you use, how much is being compounded. Annual percentage yield, APY. You'd be amazed on how many individuals don't know what APY stands for. Okay. The amount of interest you will earn on a yearly basis, expressed as a percentage. It includes the effect of compounding, should be used to compare savings products. So the interest rate is one thing, but the annual percentage yield, how much it yields, which includes compound interest and how the effect of compounding, rather, that's the most important figure you want to look when you're looking at various savings vehicles. There are two basic ways to save money. You can open up a savings account or you can invest your money. Savings account, you want to make sure it's FDIC insured if you're in a regular bank account, or you want to go to NCUA for credit unions. An example of one credit union of an organization I used to work with a lot, still do, 1199 Federal Credit Union, SEIU Credit Union. There's different credit unions around your area that you might be able to participate in. If you need help in figuring out the type of a banking institution that you should be able to select, we can help with that through this program. Email, set up a time. Let's work out a various savings institution where you like to put your money. So open up a bank account, FDIC insured, or NCUA is National Credit Union Share Insurance Fund. Both are insured up to $250,000 in your various accounts. Or you can invest your money. And it's not federal, and that's risky. We talk about in another whole course. We have an investment one-on-one course. You've definitely checked that out. Rule of 72. It's a really great rule to use, real nifty rule. It helps you estimate how long it takes for years of savings to double in value. So for instance, 72 divided by 4%. If you want to see your money, how long, if the question is, how long at a 4% interest rate, how long will it take for my money to double in value? Well, 72 divided by 4% equals 18. So approximately, it's approximation, 18 years. Write that down and do a couple of samples for yourself. So let me ask you this question. At a 6% interest rate, how long will it take for your money to double? What will that be? 72 divided by 6% equals what? Email me the answer and we'll see if you got it right. At a 6% interest rate, how long will it take for your money to double? I'd love to see if you can get that answer right. The interest rate needed to double your savings rate within a set period. So if you're trying to figure out what interest rate do I need to have in order to double my money in 12 years. So 72 divided by 12 equals 6%. So I want to ask you another question. If I'm if I want to double my money in 9 years, if I want to double my money in 9 years, what is my interest rate that I need to have to double my money in 9 years? Email me the answer to that question. See if you can get it right. I'd love to see if you got it right. In 9 years, say, hey, Ryan, the answer is this. Email me. I'd love to see if you got that answer right. It's good. It's a good little nifty thing to learn about. You've got things like CDs, certificates of deposit, an account in which you leave money for a predetermined period of time. You can't make deposits or withdrawals unless the term is ended. CDs are the interest rates are not really high now. And again, a lot of the big basic things about CDs and certificates of deposit is that many times people will say, can I use that for an emergency fund? The answer is no, because in a CD, you have to pay a fee if you withdraw your money before the term is ended. So with longer terms, you'll get a slightly higher rate. You've got money market accounts, an account that requires a higher minimum balance to earn interest. It pays a higher interest for higher balances, doesn't have a fixed term. You got savings accounts, an account that pays you interest on your balance. We want to remember we're looking for that APY, and all these want to look at the APY. May require you to maintain a minimum daily balance. Again, email me and let's go through how to open up a bank account and which bank account might be suitable for you, because we just did a video, check out the archives, on high yield savings accounts and how much your budget is telling you how much you can put into a savings account. Other savings account types are IDAs, individual development accounts, electronic transfer accounts, 529 college savings plans. Again, if you have any questions on all of these, email me, and we can go over those things. Now we're getting to the important stuff. This is where the rubber hits the road, the budgeting. Basic 3 steps we can follow to go through a budgeting process. You fill out an estimated budget. You complete a 30-day spending diary. Then you fill out an actual budget. So again, we can send you those templates. Email me, I'll send you a template. You fill out your estimated budget of how much you think you're going to be spending. You do a 30-day spending diary, so you journal how much you do spend. Then you fill out the actual budget. This is the homework assignment I want you to start out with right away. So I want you to email me and ask me for 2 things. 1, a copy of your of any documents that I think are important, mainly in this slide, a copy of your budget, and 2, set up an office hours with me so we can figure out exactly when you need to, we can go over your budget and actually analyze your actual spending to make sure you put it into practice regularly, all right? So email me for a copy of the budget template, fill it out, and then let's do office hours to sit down and talk of exactly how much, what your budget is, and if we can do any tweaking, any adjustments, and I can give you my insight on your actual budget to really make this in practice. This is the most important piece here, folks. This slide right here, in terms of budgeting, nothing's going to be more important than actually starting it and getting it into practice. There's no right way to budget. How we're going to be doing it is just the way that we need to do it based upon our own, so I can actually look at your budget. But now, there have been other folks at MPI that have gone off and they've revised the budget template to make it more amenable to them. They have made it, they use mint.com, or they use apps. I've had individuals put together entire spreadsheets that make it basically user-friendly to them. Just because I start you out with a particular budget template does not mean you need to stay using that same template the whole time. The budget template is just for us, so I can help you analyze in your spending. However you like the budget moving forward, that's fine. You can use an Excel spreadsheet using an app. Here are a couple examples of different apps that people like to use. Budgeting has become a lot easier process nowadays, folks. These apps have made it very easy, but sometimes individuals don't like using technology like that. That's fine. However it is, you got to use what's right for you as long as you're doing it. There's things that are designed to hinder your budget. The bogus sales strategy, where they basically they create sales in order to make you want to, if they buy an item for $5 and they mark it up to $100 and they say, they sell it for $100, they're making a lot of money. Then they cut it down to $50 and have a 50% out blowout sale. And they can put it in the window. Hey, 50% off. They only bought it for $5, now they're selling it for $50. Sometimes they mark up items to cut it down drastically to make you believe it's a sale, but they're still making a whole lot of money. That's called a bogus sales strategy, or the impulse creation strategy. They know that you shop at store A, but there's in downtown, there's a store B uptown, the same store, where they have a sale and they move items from one store to the next. And when you go to that store A, the items have been relocated. It gives the appearance that it's been sold out, but they just relocated the items. Now you're upset. Next time there's a sale, I'm going to move even faster to get those items. That's called the impulse sales strategy. The guilt sales strategy. Hey, want to try on another pair of shoes? They know the more shoes you try on, the more guilty you're going to feel about walking out without buying a pair of those shoes. That's called the guilt strategy. The credit card discount strategy. You walk up to the front of the store and, hey, you only plan on spending $10, but if you spend $100, you get a $10 discount. So you plan on spending 10, you spend 100 to get $10 back. You spend another $80 extra, what you planned on spending, just to get access to a $10 discount. That doesn't make logical sense. The lure strategy. folks, they are researching exactly the type of music you like, the scents that you like, all these things they're researching to get into your pocketbook. So we got to check your emotions before you start. Check your emotions before you go shopping. Emotions influence spending habits. Okay, whatever you can walk away from, you have mastered. Whatever you cannot walk away from has mastered you. You need to check your emotions every time you go spending. What's your emotional state? We have to limit shopping if you're too happy. If you won the basketball game or just got a promotion. A lot of times we get these positive news stories that happen in our lives, and all of a sudden we start to equate positive news with activities that cause us to spend money, which defeats the whole purpose of getting a promotion at your job, because you just got this stuff to spend money, to save money, because the more money we make, the more we start spending. All right. Sadness, girl, that made it no good. Let's go shopping. We gotta check those emotions. Boredom. A lot of times we shop if we're too bored. Okay, and we're sitting around waiting on picking up the child from daycare, and we're a little couple minutes early, and we're sitting on our phone. Next thing you know, we're shopping. Anxiety. A lot of times people start shopping when they get anxious about certain items, certain things. So here's a couple of slides on excessive consumption. If you buy a pair of $500 designer shoes once a year, okay, versus a $99 JCPenney discounted brand, okay, so the person who's concerned about money spends 99 bucks. The designer shoe spends $575. You buy one pair of shoes per year, that's $476 in savings you would have spent. That money saved at 8% for 30 years equals $58,000 just by being mindful of how we're spending money on shoes. Or jeans, $200 True Religion jeans versus $15 cheap Old Navy jeans. $185 a year, invested at 8% for 30 years, $22,000 on jeans. Everyday items, $5 coffee, Starbucks coffee versus a $39 ounce Folgers that you can make at home for 10 bucks. 39 ounce Folgers is 200 cups of coffee at a nickel a cup. Saving is $4.95 a cup. $4.95 invested daily at 8% for 30 years. $226,000, folks, on coffee. I want you to think about this next time you want to spend money on coffee, where you could have made it at home for a lot cheaper price. Eating out. Now, I know a lot of with MPI especially, eating out is one of the biggest expenditures because everybody wants to go out to eat. Co-workers say they want to go out to eat. You feel like you're obligated to go along with them versus a bag lunch. 50 bucks for the week versus a bag lunch. 10 bucks for the week. $160 a month savings. $160 over 30 years. 8%. $238,000 just by bagging at lunch and not going out all the time. Think about that next time you go out. Then we've got financial predators. Refund anticipation loan, essentially saying, hey, tax return is coming up. Get this refund anticipation loan. They want you to get that refund anticipation loan for the anticipation of an estimated tax return that you want. That comes at the price of 200 to 300% interest rate, though. Now, if there's any one of you that's ever tempted to do any one of these things, please let's set up some office hours, because these things are designed to get into your pocketbook. Rent-to-own stores is causing you exorbitant amount of money relying upon instant gratification. Quick cash loans are 200 to 300% interest rate. Multi-level marketing companies, get-rich-quick schemes trying to get into your pocketbook. Out-of-network automatic teller machines where they charge you exorbitant amounts of money to get access to your money. You have $100 in your bank. If you have $100 in your bank account and you essentially want to pull out, let's say $20 because somebody wants to go out to lunch, and if it costs you $5, okay, at $5 is essentially, do the math. Do the math. that $5 is essentially a huge percentage of that $100 in your account for the fee that you're paying to an ATM machine to get access to your own money. So we want to make sure you are knowledgeable about where the various ATMs are. You don't have to pay that fee. Check cashing facilities, paying money to get access to your own money. And then there's the lottery. I get it. It sounds fun to think about what you're going to do with all those millions of dollars, but just also understand that that is one of the biggest schemes, because the average amount of individuals is 50%. That's for every $10 you spend, you might get back $5. That's not a good return, because you're basically donating to a system. And you might get a couple of licks every once in a while, but that's not a good system over the long run to actually do something. So now, this is, again, hopefully you've taken some good notes. This is my email. This is the cell phone number to text. If you have any questions, please reach out, because we want to make sure that we can put these things into practice. It makes no sense to talk about any of these principles unless we're putting them into practice. All right? So we want to help you out. We want to go over your budget. So don't forget the homework assignments. Go over your budget. Send an email to get a copy of the budget template and other handouts if you want, the debt template, the goal sheet, 30-day spending diary. We'll send you those as well. Start filling out your budget. Set up office hours with me. Let's sit down and figure out exactly what we can do with that budget to make sure it's even. I'm proclaiming no deficit spending for you. You're not. I'm proclaiming a surplus spending. Deficit expenses are greater than the income. I'm not proclaiming that for you. I'm proclaiming surplus, meaning that your income is greater than your expenses. So when we sit down, we're going to figure out exactly how to increase your surplus. And I'm excited to do so, all right? Talk to you soon. Let's set up some office hours. Let's get it going. Peace.